I'm going to try and keep this one very, very brief, guys, because I don't have a lot of time. I've had a lot of crazy things go on today, so I'd like to make this brief. So, what has happened is very, very simple. In the new Call of Duty, there seems to be a few things going on here. And the first thing that you will notice here is in this Polygon article, this guy says here, as I rounded the corner of a trench line on Point du Hoc, I came face to face with a German soldier. My rifle was held high, and running full bore, I drove its bayonet into their chest, delivering a mortal wound. This is not an unusual sight for a Call of Duty game. It's been commonplace since the series' inception in 2003. God, was it that long? But right there, in my first demo of the upcoming Call of Duty World War II, I noticed a big difference. I just killed a woman. A black woman in a German uniform. And this is one of two issues that I've noticed with this game. Now look, in World War II, there were obviously soldiers who were not white, especially if you were in the French Empire or the British Empire or the Netherlands and Dutch Empire, or in hell, even other empires, for example. So in Britain we had Gurkhas, Indians, Jamaicans, we had Nigerians, anyone you can think of. We'd most likely have them fighting in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, and the French would have had their own as well. And yeah, that's fine, but this seems to be a game based on the American experience, which is a shame because there's loads of things that we could do. I would actually like to see a game based on a Gurkha's perspective, because they're badasses. Why would you not want to be a Gurkha, right? And then, you know, maybe some other types of people in the war that you don't usually see a video game about. But whatever, they're going with your typical GI. Now, what we see here in the trailers, you see a lot of, mainly probably for diversity quotas, lots of black American soldiers and white American soldiers, and that's fair enough. But they don't make it look like it's actually historically accurate. Like they're supposed to be, for the single player, historical accuracy, and they want to make it clear that this is going to be an experience. You'll be experiencing World War II, and it'll be as close as it can possibly be. Well, the two races in the American army, not in the British army, although I think in World War One at least there were barriers for men of colour to become officers, but sometimes they were circumvented if the man was good enough. In extreme cases, they were segregated in America. So you've had black regiments, you would have had white regiments, you would have had Native American regiments, you would have had Asian American regiments. Sometimes they would have had white officers, maybe, I don't know, but they were usually segregated. They don't seem to show that, but I don't know, maybe they're two units fighting together, which probably wasn't uncommon, but they would have been different regiments, but they would have been fighting together on the same battlefield, which is probably not out of the question. That probably did happen. But the multiplayer, I guess you can give them some liberties with that, I guess. It's multiplayer, you can be whoever you want to be, but it might break immersion for some people, and when they're seeing these people together fighting as if they're in one big unit, like it's the Korean War where it was desegregated, people are going to have an issue. But you know what? That's the least of the problems that I have with that. I mean, I could take or leave historical accuracy. I probably won't play it because I have, of course, got a history degree, and that shit triggers me. Now we have another thing, and that is this. Call of Duty makers remove swastika from historical video game. Now, I have with me somewhere a screenshot. Here we are. Look, you see? Here. It shows the Black Cross, also known as a, where can I find it? Here, it's a Schwarzes I think I might have pronounced that wrong. And that is something that was from the 19th century that predates the Nazis. That's just a German thing in general. That's just a symbol that they've used for hundreds of years. And they've replaced that with a swastika. Now, in some countries where that symbol is banned and you can't use that, I understand, even though I disagree. I think that shouldn't be censored. I think when you're trying to create an accurate world, when you're trying to recreate history, when you're trying to show what these people were like, what the symbol was like for those people, it has to be used, but that's the law. They're not going to change it anytime soon. So I understand Activision's reasons, at least in Germany or other countries like that. But for the rest of the world where we don't have laws like that. Like, you can show swastikas in this country and in America. They seem to have got rid of it for the international release as a whole. And that's worrying, because this could be one or two things. Either they're not making the effort to put the swastika in the game so they can get it out earlier, which again, I disagree with, but I understand, because you want to get it out as quickly as possible and concentrate on maybe gameplay and other graphical features rather than just a JPEG of a swastika. Fair enough. But then there's the other side of that, and that is maybe they're trying not to trigger some social justice warriors who get freaked the fuck out over any sign of it. Whenever it appears, we see whole student protests going on. We see people going outraged on Twitter and online, even though this would be the historical representation of it from the 40s and not what we see now. Maybe they're making sure that they don't get any trouble. They're trying to do damage control before anything's even happened. I personally don't think, even though they can be very offended over a lot of things, I think when it comes to a video game like this, the social justice warriors probably ought to let that slide, especially if they love punching Nazis so much. At least they keep virtue signaling what they do. That maybe this would be good. Like, how dare you have this swastika and they can shoot it in the game? You know, maybe they have some physics there and they can punch a Nazi. Wouldn't they like that? And this is worrying, because other games potentially might end up going this route by essentially circumventing historical fact and getting rid of symbols because they might be offensive, even though they ought to be there because it's historical accuracy. But hey, whatever. But the weirdest thing is, the new Wolfenstein has Nazi paraphernalia. It does have swastikas in the game, and Ku Klux Klan members and their paraphernalia and their symbols. So again, is this just because of Activision? Does Bethesda not give a shit because they're, well, maybe not as big as Activision or don't have much of a mainstream appeal or audience as them? I don't know. But it's worrying, to say the least. But I'm not going to cast judgment on the gameplay itself or the game as a whole. These are just worrying developments which could, in either way, they could go, the industry could go to the Wolfenstein route and just keep doing what they've always done, or they will go the Call of Duty World War II route and essentially just censor themselves so they don't outrage anybody. We don't want that. We want people to be able to freely express whatever they want, whenever they want, don't we? As long as it's within the bounds of the law and nobody's getting hurt or injured. So I think I'll leave it at that, people. I need to get this rendered. So until next time, I'll see you all later.